the text.
Good.
Yeah.
All right, we call the meeting, the Urban Renewal Agency, special meeting to order, and,
I can call the roll for you, if you like.
you can call the roll, please.
Beasley?
Here.
Coleman? Here. Reck?
Here.
Stofford?
Here.
Short? Here. Harmon?
Here.
Watson? Here.
Thank you very much. We have a consent agenda of the two special work session meeting of February 4th, 2025, and February 18th, 2025 work session minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll move that we approve the consent agenda of February 4th and February 2025. I for discussion, I do have a correction. I believe it should be titled Tuesday, February 18th, 2025.
It says, oh, and on the
On the
minutes.
minutes.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
Thank you.
Thank you.
You bet.
Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
All right, that was unanimous approval. So now we have a project update report on Kent Street property.
I apologize, I have not done anything on that yet, but I will definitely get some information for you guys on that.
So, from my recollection, after we added like Langdon property, there was still a lot of, leeway within that 10% allocation we have. So for the purposes of tonight's meeting, let's just assume that, that property can be included in the urban.
Which property is
This Kent Street ones, the ones that we were donated.
And I do believe the chair is correct. I'm pretty sure it's correct, because we haven't gotten anywhere near that 1% yet, so.
Yeah. Was it 1% or 10%? 10%.
Sorry.
So, because I would like to talk about that tonight, and I think, we should proceed as if it's, okay to be added to the urban renewal boundaries, and we can always drop it if we don't need to. Are you okay with that, Rick?
Well, I just don't know what we're gonna do with that property yet. This is rushing.
That's why we have this discussion.
Can we talk about it and then,
Yeah,
talk about extending the urban renewal? Is it because you wanna get urban renewal money to develop the
that's what,
properties?
yeah. We were talking about, I think even you mentioned it last time, that if we could do certain things like develop sewer and water, we may be able to sell it at a cheaper price to get people interested in building, for example, my idea, and this is, we haven't talked about, the workforce housing, so we could sell it with some conditions on it, something like that. So, and the urban renewal funds to develop that infrastructure and cover, certain, and probably system development fees, because we've developed it, I don't know. But that would be a huge incentive for somebody to be able to buy the property and not have to do that and then give the concession that I would want, which would be to have workforce housing. So, that's why I was interested in having it. And it's along 101, so it's where we also have other, so I think it's logical.
Fran, can I make a motion that we put this on the agenda right now so that we can discuss it in depth? Would that be appropriate?
It's on the agenda.
Well, it's on the report on the Kent Street property, but we're not, we can add it.
Into urban renewal boundary.
yeah,
But it doesn't say what we do with it, let's
Right.
Well, then I make a motion. that
I don't think we need it, we can discuss it.
We can discuss it?
I think so.
Okay.
and Chair, if I might,
Yeah.
I did just find, because one of the things we talked about last time was whether that putting housing there would be an appropriate use of urban renewal funds. It says that one of the things is that providing incentives to new public and private building investments in the renewal area. So that would lead to the ability to be able to do something like that. So definitely an option. So with being able to put it in there and then being able to use it for that housing, if that's the way you choose to go,
Right.
we know we can do that now. Because that's great.
So do you know, David and Eva, do you guys know where the property is? It's on the corner of 101 and Kent, just south of town here.
Yeah, are we talking about the big, it's kind of like a big green house with a bunch of different rooms in it? Is that the one that we're?
No, this is, it's a
Right across the
vacant,
street from it.
Yeah,
across the
Right
street.
across the street, okay.
Yeah, we were donated 4 vacant lots.
that has trees on it still.
Yeah. There's some clearing right underneath the electric lines, but most of it is, I don't know what trees those are, but most of it's trees.
Yeah.
Like Austin said, so.
Do you know where that is? Okay, so yeah, that's what we're talking about. Is this okay with everybody? Spend a few minutes discussing that now?
Yeah.
Okay, do you wanna go first?
I'd love to, thank you. I visited that property, I wanted to go see it, and it is a tremendous property. It's low down. Somebody told me some history on it, but I think it is just a really unique property and one that, you know, it's a good thing we have it now. You know, I'm not against workforce housing. I don't know how that works actually, because how do you determine, you know, who you rent or sell to without doing some kind of bias? As I mentioned before, Chairman, the big pressure in Lincoln County is from retirees who have the money to do these things, to swing these things. So I don't know how that works. How do you get?
I'm certainly not an expert on it, but people do all
Okay,
over the
okay.
state. And there's
Yeah.
something like 1.2% CPI, I mean, I don't know what it is on that, but we can, there is, and the governor just came out with an incentive program for workforce housing, and that goes back to.
Okay, good, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
And actually, if we can make it for workforce housing, I totally agree.
So it's an
Great
income,
idea.
it's an
It's a
income
great
test,
idea.
it's an income test, and we could get additional grant money, that presumably that we can do these revolving loans.
The issue becomes, if we're gonna use our urban renewal money for this, and I have to tell you that I took a walk around town one day and, every day. But I look at at some of the businesses that we have here that are really, at source for our room tax. And I think these businesses would benefit from, some kind of, loan or grant program that would allow them to improve their businesses. And I really would like to see us restart the program that we had, you know, a decade or more ago, where we offered grants to businesses. I'll give you one example of where that worked. It was at John Woodmark's Blue Heron Gallery downtown. Basically, he transformed that funky old building into a really nice sales front, which is what we, you know, really benefit from in this town. Our good-looking homes and good-looking buildings, where we don't even have to really put any money in. It's all private capital. In this case, we gave a grant, but I think we should look at getting loans like Lincoln City does. Lincoln City Urban Renewal has a revolving loan fund. It's very, very successful. And this property that we're talking about over here is nice. It's perfect. It's a good deal, and we've got it in our pocket. And we don't, and so there's no impetus, as far as I can see, to move quickly with the program that's gonna cost a lot of money until we look at it very closely, find out what all the costs are gonna be. And frankly, we need to apply this to every program in the city. Every program in the city, whether it's, you know, whatever. So before we move forward on that, I'd be willing to extend the urban renewal boundary. But I think that this has to be very competitive with things that we need to do now, which is like protect our existing sources of revenue, like the room tax revenue. What can we do to increase room tax revenue? You know, market the town, but where are people gonna stay? They've gotta have.
Okay, this is a little bit off topic.
I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Thank you, I got it.
Does anybody else wanna speak about this? How big did you say these were? It's not like it's 4 lots.
It's
that
3
don't-
large lots.
Three
that
large.
were-
Would it be helpful if I put them up on the screen?
Yeah.
I
So,
did a worksheet, spreadsheet on it a long time ago.
She did.
It's zone commercial, so hypothetically, it could be all overnight lodging. transit room types. We talked at one point about getting community input on what the community would like to see happen with that property. I'd still like to at least ask that question, here public, we've got this free land, what do y'all think we need? Maybe some people think we need to work with Samaritan and help them get a new clinic there since the building they're in is falling apart and leaking like so. Maybe there's some other opportunities that we could present to a developer that might make more sense. If by putting it in the urban renewal area, yes, we can use urban renewal funds to help develop it or do whatever we need to do to it. But what it also means is whatever incremental tax revenue comes forward, assuming that we deal with the fact that the urban renewal thing daylights and then the incremental tax money. So if you did put like something in there that's gonna generate a lot of property tax money, the incremental property tax goes back into your urban renewal fund and helps fund your water, sewer.
Question?
I'm sorry.
Oh, you go ahead.
Does putting this property in the urban renewal zone area restrict what we can do with it in any way?
No.
Okay.
It does.
It has to be
Well-
used for urban renewal purposes, but
Right.
they're pretty
They're
broad.
pretty broad.
So, my question to Councilor Stavern is, this means that we're gonna give the property back to, we're not gonna keep the property, we're not gonna rent it out, we're gonna turn it back into a tax producing property, right?
That's an option. I'd like to hear what people think we should do with that.
I think that's a great idea, actually. And I think that has to be done.
I mean, we could make a heck of a deal to a developer to come in and develop it per our requirements.
The whole point of urban renewal is to increase the tax base, right? And that would do it, so that's a good idea.
So there's the map, it's those 3 lots, the 2 in the front are basically, they used to be 2 lots each, I think, so. Conceivably, it's like about the size of 5 lots.
I like the idea of a new Samaritan, but I don't think that's a place for it. I don't think the neighbors are gonna go for that.
I don't know how it's any different from where it is now.
Well, there's that, yeah.
What's the zoning now?
It's commercial, that's commercial. All 3 lots are commercial.
It's commercial zone?
Yes.
Oh, man, that is
It's-
just tremendous.
A peach, I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
No, it
It's not
doesn't.
in the flood zone, it's zoned commercial, it's on 101,
It's,
and it's free.
it's probably, it's the best property in Depoe Bay.
Thank
right
you.
now.
Mrs. Lively, what was her name? What was the lady's name that gave it to us? Was it Lively?
Linda Staley?
Staley.
Staley,
Staley.
Staley, I don't know how
I
you.
wish we could have met you.
Were you done?
I do like the idea of workforce housing. I think that's a great idea. But I'm open to looking at
But
other
see,
things.
I'm all about workforce housing and senior housing especially.
Mhm.
Old people need housing too, but not on 101. We have so many other spots we could do that. Stanley Street, Winchell Street, the property over here by the park.
It could be mixed use too.
Commercial, you can literally do almost anything.
Yeah, you could do like what they do with the bottom floor
Yeah.
being
Commercial.
commercial.
We've got resources also with the state.
Yeah.
Can't remember Steve's last name, but I've met with Steve or Keith? Steve, wasn't it Steve?
Yeah, we have a Keith too.
Keith. Either Keith or Steve.
From where?
He's from the state of Oregon, and he has funds available for us to research as well, as far as putting workforce housing in there. And he actually came up and looked at the property and is willing to help us with conceptual ideas.
Well, he also, if it's the same guy we're talking about, they have created a website or a place you can list the property that you have available and developers. You can tell them kind of what you want.
Yeah.
And developers will kind of bid on it, like say, we want to work with you to develop workforce housing or whatever we decide we want to do on that. It's on the list, but we need more details about what the council wants to do with or wants to look at before we can like go out for bid, if you will.
Can we
But-
all go look at it together maybe when we go walk around? Because I mean, I know where it is, but I have a hard time picturing how big.
And I don't know what those
Yeah,
white
it's in the
things
buildings.
that go through that. Eva, did you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think I raised my hand. Anyways, I'm not super familiar with, all the rules and everything along with this, but it sounds like we have this property. I mean, workforce housing would not be a bad idea. I think we'd want to make sure that the workforce is working in Depot Bay though, so we're not supplying housing for, other neighboring cities. And then also looking at what, how much funding do we have to construct any kind of unit there, whether it's workforce housing or something else. But and if we get grant money for that, what things can we build there and what things can we not?
Even so if we get grant funding and there's that, if we pass that bond measure, then we can get these revolving loan funds, which would allow us to actually do it ourselves. Or as we've been talking about, I don't know if you heard, developing some part of it, like some of the infrastructure that then would provide even more incentive for the applicant, like a developer would come in because we could sell it. That would be a selling point, infrastructure, will be put in or is in, something like that. So I'm not sure about we'd have to research that. I don't think we could restrict it to only Depot Bay residents, but the whole point is to increase, the amount of housing throughout the county. And the county has an incentive program too, I think. So I think we'd all be contributing to the amount.
I
Okay.
had a question of
Yeah.
Brady, if I could.
Sure.
Infrastructure, talk to me about what's there and what would need to be there.
There-
Hypothetically, if you're gonna put, say, half a dozen.
Right, there used to be a service line, they used to have back in the day, like, I think it was tore down in the eighties, it was a triplex that kind of slopes towards the south. And there was like a 3-unit triplex there that was post and beam, it didn't have a foundation. They tore the house, the buildings out, there was an existing 3/4 inch meter there that's been exempt. So that's no longer, we'd have to get water to the property. There's an old existing sewer lateral. Again, that was capped off, but that would have to be upgraded to the sewer main. There's a sewer main that is in Kent Street, would be very close, easy to do.
Okay.
And there's also a water line on Kent Street, it's a 2-inch, but that still should provide plenty of water. Unless there's a 6 on coast, so we could always bring, say if they needed a fire hydrant or they needed a larger sprinkler system, something, we can always bring up from Coast Street fairly easily.
So like 100 yards or something. Right?
Yeah,
Yeah, easy.
300, yeah.
Yeah.
300,
Thank you.
yeah. And then gas, I'm not sure about gas on Kent.
I'm sure
Would
there's
it
probably one that goes down.
behoove us to do any kind of pre-survey locate on that? Just an FYI kind of.
Absolutely, yeah, we could get that called in and just see what's available.
Pre-survey.
Pre-survey
Or
locate.
utilities, like see.
Okay.
Oh, locates, I was gonna say, because if you wanted more than that, John's gonna be here on Friday, so we can also explore, want to know what it might cost.
I mean,
to
I'd love to
have
see
services
corners
first.
marked.
Yeah, we could,
I'd
We
like to
could-
see corners marked and I'd really like to see a locate.
Do we?
John and I can mark for a locate, it's free, so
Cool.
we could do that.
Thank you. You know me, I love those locates.
Okay, so wait a second, what are we doing? Do we need the
So
survey
what we
right
want-
now?
I think we need the survey, yeah, we do.
Okay. And that comes
The
out of
reason
urban
is
renewal
that-
funds?
It should,
Okay,
if we roll it into urban renewal.
A full survey,
I think corners marked.
because
Yeah,
Brady
we-
says he could do that.
Cause we
Oh, there
could
you go.
look for existing pins, but we could also find out from Lincoln County Assessor's Office to see when the last survey
There
was
you go.
done there,
Good idea.
and then.
So I would just turn that over to him,
Yeah, I
but the
can-
locate piece of it,
Yeah.
call that what you want.
Mhm.
But, I mean, it doesn't have to be done in the next 48 hours, but getting a locate here.
so
but John has to do the
this is
actual-
assuming that we,
So
all
that we
this,
roll it into urban renewal.
right, this is all that is, assuming that we, all this, all this, all that is, 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 well, it doesn't, we probably want that anyway, even if we don't roll it in,
We
because
need to know what,
it
we need
is.
to know more about
Okay.
the property.
But if it is rolled into urban renewal, then we charge urban renewal for those costs.
Correct.
Okay.
Locate, there is
Is
a
everybody
cost to
okay
locate.
with, that way to proceed?
Yes.
Are you okay with that, Rick?
Yes,
Eva?
I am.
Yes.
Thank you for
Okay,
doing that.
yeah.
Good discussion.
Okay, so just to make sure, you want Brady to do the locates, identify the pins, and mark the lines. That's pretty much the extent of what she's gonna want to have done on that right now.
He's gonna call in a locate.
Yeah, well, they just
Yeah.
locate, so.
Right, and then do our water sewer,
Yeah,
that way we can see where the power is and if there's any gas and.
So he'll call Brady, he'll
There you
call the locates
Yeah.
for gas and power and all that.
And then look at the existing surveys, see what these are.
Yeah, Brady's-
Yeah, if we find some pins, we could just tag them with some
There you
pink,
go.
survey tape and, a small stake.
So, go ahead, Audrey.
Another idea would be some sort of rec center for the community. I think we had talked about that before, having some sort of indoor recreational area.
That's what we're gonna do with that. Or,
Yeah.
building or something.
To do what?
With that, what's it?
The
Whirlwind.
Whirlwind.
Yeah. That looks, is the Berwick Library in the urban renewal?
Brady brought the map up.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Burwood,
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
My guess is yes.
sure is.
So,
And talk about blight.
Yeah.
yeah, and I don't know if it's, if it was in,
It's-
legal,
It's really dilapidated. It's
For
been
what?
losing its siding
I-
as of late.
I've got a contact from somebody to reach out to. That's Martin's place, right? That was the Martin.
Keep Mark.
It sounds like there's some action going on that, whether it be in final foreclosure. So I had somebody reach out to me that they wanted to, I guess we have some kind of a lien, we haven't been able to find it. I don't know what they did with it, but she apparently found it when they did the survey, so I have a call into her and hopefully she'll come
the
back.
title thing.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So I get more information on that and find out what's going on, and then I can let you know. But it was like, oh, wow, this is interesting that there's finally some action on this. What that means, I don't know, but they want us to release the lease, so it's gonna end up between you guys, because I'm not,
Yeah.
hang on, what's the lease?
So,
So back to the survey question, Brady, it looks like the last surveys were the old 1976.
I knew you could
Yeah.
look in there, I knew you could
Yeah,
look in
so
there.
there's probably some old rebar in there, but it may need to be, yeah.
Yeah, so
So-
there are no.
Because the
Okay,
new ones
wait,
will
wait,
have yellow
let's
caps.
not, I think we have a direction forward, we don't need to
Yes.
solve the issues now.
Okay.
Okay. So, so I've heard a lot of support for workforce housing, one idea for mixed use, maybe commercial, or, mixed commercial, and so have another idea to poll the town. I personally think we kind of are here to represent different interests. So, and I think we can proceed with how we best think we want to spend it. Because who else has tapped in that much? I mean, unless we send out a survey, I don't know, I didn't get that last, we said we might follow up on that last, survey we did.
The one that we just did, oh, I still wanna do that, that needs more exploration, because there's too much ambiguity in there.
So I'm not sure, we could add a question to that one. If the city had a piece of property, what would be your priorities? But I really think a lot of us know that
Housing is crucial.
housing is crucial and it's been long-term strategic plan and there's grant money, revolving loan funds. So, go ahead.
Well, this is not my idea, this is just something several people have asked me, totally thrown it at you. A lot of the talk has been constantly about the lack of parking for the harbor. Brady's gonna put up signs along Shell, so there won't be any parking on there. I know he ordered a bunch of shells recently, but they'll park up along there. There has been talk, and people said, well, we have this 10th Street, why don't we flop them? So, and get this property, and make that the parking lot, which is apparently something that was a long time ago.
I missed that. Which property would you swap it
10th
with?
Street with this property.
10th Street with what
This
property?
property across
It's
the
the
street.
billboard property that
Thank
goes
you,
to
the billboard
Oh,
property.
It goes to the mailboxes into the billboard.
Which apparently at one point the city was going to buy, but there's two brother property owners, one likes the city and the other doesn't. That's a mystery too.
Well,
Anyway, it was just part of the harbor minute, so anyway, it's just, like I said, people have asked me, well, why don't we, I'm like,
Well, I think that goes to the, finding out from the citizens what they want. If we're able, I think that's a great idea too. In fact, I think every idea, which, and Fran, with all due respect, you did a very good job of recapping, but you didn't mention the one thing about the revolving loan fund or grant fund to businesses, because.
but
I
that's
just think
separate
we can-
from this, I think that we
Well,
have.
but this impacts
We
the
have-
funds available.
We have plenty of funds available for that. The Woodmarks were the only ones that used that revolving loan fund on 3 different properties of theirs. Nobody else took us up on that. And we had offered it to that roofing property, they never took us up on that, and that,
I could be wrong, but
yeah, so I think, so I don't have any problem exploring that, but this property is a hell of a lot more valuable than the billboard property, so maybe one lot or something, but.
Should I pursue with Keith at the state, his conceptual ideas for us as a presentation for us?
Yeah, and what I wanted to know, and this is related, the housing, and I don't know if it was low income or if it was workforce for the Otis fire victims that the county was developing, what was happening with that?
I
Because,
just asked that question the other day, I don't think we have an answer.
because
We do that.
that's a logical thing, if they're developing that and they're staging for that and they're bringing all the materials into that,
Mhm.
that may be really cost effective. But I don't know if it was, anyway,
Keith, at the state has ideas like that as well,
yeah,
that there's already, house plans that
They're
are,
developers.
yeah, that developers have all ready to go,
yeah,
and they just need the land to put them on.
wow,
And so, let me,
Yeah, it's
I'll
really a good
reach
deal.
out to him
yeah,
again.
that would be
I think
good,
we should look into that.
Yeah,
yeah,
cause it would be simple
cost
to,
effective, yeah.
And it's a lot of free support to get us there, we just have to, one of the things we'll have to do is print that form they want us to fill out, and the council will have to decide what you want, so that you don't get just anything, you get very specific responses that can do what you want them to do.
Okay.
I just was in a 3-hour orientation yesterday for the Council of Government. And I'm glad because I was kind of floundering around, what do we really do in there? But they do offer assistance to cities for development. So
Yes,
they
yeah.
have people available to help plan. I
And for
just probably
grants.
even know some of those people.
We actually have some kind of agreement with council governments to do some of that work. The difference is that they are very limited in staff. Did they tell you what that looks like? Because
No.
I kept running into that on some of the things where I'm trying to get but they're very limited. But they do have plans that might be worth looking at as well.
So what I'm hearing, and this doesn't close down the conversation, once we decide, if we can get it in the renewal district, I think, assuming that we can, that there's interest in doing that because, we can generate revenue and it's a valuable piece of property. Is that true enough?
Yes.
So, and we have a way forward in terms of getting the utility survey, and then what we do with it afterwards, there's a lot of ideas that have come up around the table. So we will, what I wanna do is move this, because there's other things we want to accomplish. Let's table it, not table it, but we'll have further discussions on the use of this. And
I'll see
we
what I
can
can get
see
from
more of
Keith.
the Martins in terms of slope ideas but the value would be really different.
Is it a long process to incorporate it into the?
No, we just have to make a
Yeah,
meeting at
let's-
the next meeting.
let's make sure it's not already in it. It's really hard to see this map, to read it.
Oh, it's not.
It's not.
No, absolutely not.
Kent is not in the urban.
No, Coast is,
That's,
but it's the stuff, wait a minute, let me just make sure, yeah, I was gonna say, maybe sure when we're the right color. I am, Kent is just 101, between 101 and Coast is not.
now what about,
All of that section from, including Southwest Graham, like across from, doesn't include Chow House is in urban renewal, but what is it, Evans, and up
Yeah.
to,
Evans.
up all the way through, is not.
Was that relevant to right now?
Yeah, just a one-on-one corridor.
So, Eva, did you have anything else before we move on this property?
No, I actually think that's great. I think with a little bit more information, a little bit more research, then we can have further discussions on what we can do with it.
Okay, good. And we'll check it. So, for the next meeting, I can dig up the information we had on when we had a fund for loan funds or grants for revitalization. So I'll send that to the next meeting. Yes?
I gave it to you guys one point last year.
Oh,
and we were
good.
kind of gonna do it, so I can send that to you.
Oh, yeah.
The idea was to do it for $10,000.
Right. I
So
think we
it
were
would
talking about
actually,
the roofing place.
if you decide you wanna do it, it really would be pretty easy, just to verify
Yeah.
forms and implement it.
Harold Lee's
Harold
place,
Lee,
right?
yeah.
And then they took it down anyway. But, okay, so, Kim will resend,
I will resend you.
okay? And then we can talk about that more and by the way, I think that's a good idea. So then we have on the agenda, the next item, which is, updates to public works projects completed. Did you get a chance to do that?
I did, yeah. So I started out with, I guess, the streets. I kind of prioritized the streets project.
Pardon me, he's using this document.
Yeah.
Okay, just make sure we're all. on the
Does
same
everybody
page.
have a copy?
Because if not, I made it right. You guys want to do it? Yep. Before you get started, Ray, let me make everybody know.
And the reason we're going over this is so that we can determine what our priorities are for the grants that, the projects that still need to be doing. And so then we'll fit that in with all the other ideas. We do have quite a lot of money, and definitely, and a lot of the funding can be split between urban renewal and transit impact, so we don't necessarily need to spend all urban renewal funding on these projects. So depending on the priorities, we can move forward on those that are the most important to us.
Can we find out if, Ms. Harmon knows what we're talking about? I can put that up on the screen.
Yeah, let's do that.
She'll see it better than you probably will, but
Yeah.
at least you'll see it, somewhat you guys will be able to see it better.
And so we'll start from the top gradient and just.
Yeah,
We're gonna be running out of time, so if you can give us just yes, no, partially, whatever, that would be helpful.
I'll try to go, yeah.
This
I
is
made
the
notes.
sheet they're working from.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I see it.
You see it okay? All right.
Yep, thank you very much.
Okay, so ready?
Well, we always said, we're gonna get copies.
They're making copies, she'll be in just a
All
minute.
right.
He was cutting, he was going through it, and he told me, he said, well, there's actually a lot more things done than he originally
Yeah,
thought, so
yeah.
that's
Yeah,
good.
there's a few done. And
And
that's
we
something
have
that
some
we
partial
started.
done, but not all the way, so.
Yeah, and I wanna end this meeting if possible at like 5 after, so we can take a break, I think it's gonna be long.
I got that too.
5 till.
I was gonna say, what? I hear her. There she goes. There she's going. And Council Harmon, this was taken directly from our urban renewal plan, all of the projects that were listed in there, and were added, so, if there's ever anything we want new, we would just add it. Would you please distribute those, because everybody's starting over there, I don't know who, what, I just had to make 6.
All right, thank you.
Does everybody know Jane?
What was that?
This is Debbie. And I don't know if you know Debbie.
I do, she's a neighbor.
Rick Beasley, and
Right.
Harmon, Mark.
I think I've been everywhere.
Debbie, Jenny is our family accounting specialist.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
She handles
I knew you'd
HR
rise
too.
quickly.
She's
I
great.
did actually.
But we-
Oh, you were
we
good.
got it.
Yeah, I just,
Okay, so
somebody
we're
didn't
good.
need one, so
Thank
thank
you.
you very much.
You're welcome.
So streets, we'll do the infrastructure deficiencies, we'll start with the streets. So on Highway 1, widen the existing sidewalk on the west side of the highway to Harney. That's kind of a second priority. The one below it, Bay Street, we already started that. We did the sidewalk. We need to continue with number 1, overlay, what was,
Wait a second, you're getting me mixed up right from the
Yeah.
start here.
okay,
So Highway 1, that first one,
right.
yes priority,
Yes.
no priority.
As a 2 priority in this whole list. So that would be number 2,
Number 2.
in my
Okay.
opinion, yeah.
Okay,
So Bay Street number 1, because we need to continue that project.
okay,
In that continuing would mean overlay the rest of Bay Street because it's pretty chopped up and in pretty bad shape.
okay.
Continuing the
the rest.
sidewalk would be,
Define the rest, how far you can go.
probably to the intersection of Coast Guard Drive and Bay Street. And then continuing the sidewalk, which would mean widening the street at the guardrail, including a sidewalk in that widening, replace the guardrail and put a retaining wall in at the community hall side of it. That would widen that, safer traffic flow around that
That would be
line
great.
corner.
Yeah,
That would phase 2, the sidewalk would continue. We'd also have the stairs, but we could continue the sidewalk down for baby buggies and things like that. It's pretty steep, but not that steep, no more than what the other part is.
Sure.
And then that would tie into what the driveway aprons at the community hall, maybe lead that down to the harbor. And then maybe another phase 3 could be continue through the harbor to meet that sidewalk and or go up through to Winchell and so on.
Can I interrupt for just 1 second?
You, sir, are a
Good news.
visionary.
Okay, so the good news is that, and we've talked about this before, is that there is still that small cities allotment grant that we just got. One of those things we're gonna talk to John is about giving us information and helping us apply for the rest of this project through that small cities allotment grant. It's
So
due
if-
April 30th.
so if we get that grant, we don't need to spend urban renewal.
Exactly.
Okay, but
Or
for
we can
right
feather
now,
them if it's more.
right, okay, so right now it's number 1 on the project list.
Yes.
Okay, do we wanna continue or just do 1 and 2 under each issues or 1, 2,
Yeah, I
and
mean,
3?
the other, I have like 3 at the very bottom, improved crosswalks at Bay Street.
Yeah.
The water ponds at those, wheelchair aprons on 101. Every time it rains, the people walk right through a pond of water.
At 101 and
Yeah,
this,
101 at Bay Street.
so this is like number 3?
That would be 3 at the bottom,
Okay,
yeah.
good.
And
Does
then
everybody get that? The
Yeah.
very bottom,
And
okay.
then 4 is second from the bottom,
Mhm.
reconnect sidewalks west of Highway 101 from Sunset Street through Whale Park.
Great,
That, some of it's been done, but it needs to be refurbished, especially where the parks are.
well, and that's the aprons that go down the driveways that are.
Yeah,
So
so
that
it
would
can be
be great.
straightened out.
Okay, so let's go on then to the water.
Okay,
Priorities?
so there's one in here that is a priority that I put straight across from water, and you can make notes where it says water. This would be number 1, it's the 12-inch water main down, Williams Avenue. We started the engineering on that, it goes from Collins Street.
Which one is it?
Which one is that, Bree? Which one?
It's not on there, it's
Oh.
under water, I added this is because this.
So number 1, we have to add, and it's
Yeah.
12-inch line
It's a
on
12-inch water line on Williams Avenue
Okay,
from the water tank. And, that which is at Clark Street.
Mhm.
And it's stubbed out at the new water main we just put in is also stubbed out for that 12. That 12 will go all the way down to Lane, which
okay,
is the very end of Williams, so it's about a mile of pipe almost. And then, down Lane and connect to an existing 12 that, the 12 that runs along Highway 101 on the east side.
And this is all in urban renewal?
Well, we can decide that.
Well, the water line project, Williams would have to be added. This, what he's talking
We would have to
about,
add this
would
because-
have to add that because it's not currently. in
and
the
So
the
maybe
reason-
this is the TRT then?
The reason-
We were continuing to do it generally from our regular budget, that's why they're doing the design.
Okay.
Yeah, and the engineering has started, and the reason why is because we have to meet the fire flows at Lillian Lane.
Yeah, see, that's why this is top of his list for waters, because even though it's not currently, and it is currently the city project to work on, because he's working with John.
Okay.
So that's a pretty big concern for Brady.
Let's assume though that this is not urban renewal, because unless we
Yeah.
wanna add.
No, and we can probably get a loan.
We
for it.
can't, yeah.
Or not a loan, a grant for it.
But that's me, and so 2 would be Shell Avenue, so it's what, third, 1, 2, 3, 4th up from the bottom, Shell Avenue would be 2. We started the engineering on that, and that,
Which one, Brady? Oh, never mind,
Shell
number
Avenue.
one, that's your number,
Oh, shall I? Okay.
do you want?
that would be 2, and the reason for that is we need to finish the water main and actually tie into Highway 101 with that line, so it'll be going from, what I have is after Collins Street, I put upsized line from City Park up Shell Avenue to Schoolhouse, which is right out here, and then to 101. And the reason we need to tie that in is because there's a seized valve out here in the corner that does not loop the water systems.
Okay,
And that engineering has also been started.
and that is within the urban renewal, right?
Yes.
So that's number one for urban renewal.
Yeah.
For number, exactly, number
Yeah.
one.
Okay,
And then water plant, obviously, to me would be 3.
Or number 2 for.
Yeah, or number 2, actually, yeah, you're
for
right.
urban
I'm jumping.
renewal, okay.
And then 4 would be second from the top, upgrade 6-inch AC water line west side of Highway 101.
Okay,
And that would be from Harney up through World Mark and all the way to an existing 10-inch. There's another option, and that's another engineering task, to possibly run lines across Highway 101 rather than replace all that line. We could just run lines from the 12 across the highway and feed World Mark and Thunder and Shores, rather than running 12 on one side and an 8 or something on the other side.
that sounds more
Um,
realistic.
That's some engineering, but that would definitely need some critiquing.
Well, it would need a lot if we're touching Highway 101. Remember that anything we touch Highway
Yeah.
101 is a
It's a big
monster.
and boring, yeah. So, and then, so that 5, 6 would be, 1, 2.
And then Brady, you did 4, so what's 5? Which would be R4.
Yeah, or, okay, upsized water line from Harney Street south to Clark Street.
And that's R4, and your number, 6, yes,
Upsized 8-inch water line from
Okay.
Collins Street to Bridge.
that's number 5.
All right,
Yep.
wait, let's keep moving on, I don't think.
Yep, I didn't even think, yeah, I was gonna
Okay,
say,
you wanna go to
stop
sewer?
5.
You wanna go to sewer?
Let's go to sewer.
Okay, so a lot of the first 3 are there's a question mark here, and I have that because replacing sewer lines north of the city limits station, this all depends on if we are going to stay with Gleneden Beach or not. And
Meaning if they continue,
and if-
we have to continue
and if-
servicing their food.
if not, so if we do stay with them, we have to upsize the line and blow up the street, it's gonna cost millions. Now, if we decide to just,
Which one is this? that we-
this is the
This
first
one.
one, Highway 101
Okay.
and Bay Street. And so those first 2 would really decide on if we say, if we decide that they're gonna build their own treatment plant, which looks like they are.
Well, we
They're
already
working on it,
decided,
and
yeah.
I've been told that they are doing the engineering and everything for that.
All right, so
Um,
let's, we don't want this, right?
Right,
We as
So what-
council said no to Gleneden Beach unless it's an emergency we have to do right now.
But just remember though, we can say that, but if they have no ability to handle their wastewater, the
Right,
EQ will require us to do it.
right.
Upsize the
So-
But we don't have
So-
outside lines now,
No,
not this year.
so
what we could-
absolutely not.
what we could do is if they build their own plant and those lines are still existing, we always can slip line those, meaning they put a pipe in a pipe and they put a plastic liner in existing concrete, it keeps all the water out, it's like a brand new pipe, but you don't gain any size that way, you just make the efficiency of the pipe a lot better.
This is orange before we have to really.
Right.
Yeah, so, which one would be number one, assuming those
Number one.
first twos aren't there?
Just the way they're in order
So
now.
Shell Ave would be number one for urban renewal?
Shell Avenue is done. That's
Okay,
the force main, that the city crew completed that.
Okay, so really then you don't have.
It's just Highway 101 and Bay
So,
Street.
Okay.
And then so flip the page now, we're on, still Highway 101.
Oh, I haven't been scrolling through, probably would help if I scroll through further.
so
So
that's
101
all on the sewer, so we're
right,
done.
so I have, it says 101 Kent Street, Coast Avenue, and South Point Street.
Where
I
are you
group-
looking?
The next page was still sewer.
Yeah, the sewer continued.
Oh, does it?
No, I
Yeah, right
only
here.
have public
So-
safety improvements.
Oh, hang on, you
Like
guys,
this.
Oh, some of the, so let's,
She didn't double side it.
that's okay, let's,
Okay.
It's up here
Okay, so I can, anyway, so mainly the rest of the sewer would be basically from this manhole where the force main outfalls and its gravity all the way down Kent Street, down Coast, goes to the wastewater treatment plant.
okay,
That all would need to be upsized to 30-inch from existing 15 is right now. We would turn that into 30 again if we are treating plenty.
okay.
If not, those lines can be slip lined and they'll last for another 50+ years.
So how much of a priority is slip lining? If we don't go with one,
It's not a
Okay.
problem. We
We'll
can do
wait
that
for
in the
another-
2030s. It can be
Okay.
done.
all right, so let's go on then, do we have any priorities on the undeveloped sewer?
Yeah, the pump stations are gonna definitely need to be, the generators replaced in Vista and Harbor in the main.
This year?
No,
Okay, so
I have 2029 to 2030.
let's bring that up at next year's meeting then,
Okay, I'll keep my notes.
all right?
Citywide utilities underground, that's, engineer cost estimate, things like that, future development, sure, we have to engineer, master plan cost estimate on that too for future development.
Okay,
Okay, I'll get into storm.
Yeah.
A lot of this is ODOT storm line, the first line is Highway 101, it's ODOT doing a storm line study, by the bridge, there's needed catch basins, they're calling them collection boxes in here, but they're actually a catch basin.
but we have to do it?
No, that's something that, we can, but, that's one of those where we have to go through ODOT to.
Okay, so is there anything on there that we need to do this year as your priority?
No, nothing on here this year,
Okay.
citywide and stuff is, again, it's gonna be, engineers' estimates on citywide, storm drain issues, but there's nothing that's a red flag as far as stormwater right now.
And what about the, parks and open space?
Parks and open space, I've got, stabilized the north bank, it's done by the Corps. That's the north of the harbor, where the, trawlers, island, they call it, but it's just it's the old trawlers, building. That seems to be, secure as of late, but again, that's something that may need erosion control, but not this year.
Okay, where do I need one to?
There is one, the middle one, is a project, it used to be called the Harbor Renaissance Project, and this was, improving walkways around the harbor.
Yeah.
If you recall, it was the Renaissance, project that, it was put on hold in 2016.
Is it on the harbor, or you?
Right here.
Oh, okay.
The
that
bottom one is, provide overlooks.
So are any of these priorities? for
The
this year?
top one, the north, so there's a south jetty rock that the Corps of Engineers wants the city to replace rocks by the check dam. The big jetty rocks that are around the boat launch area and behind the fueling area. There's some jetty rocks that have fallen down and they were requiring the city to get a machine in there and replace those rocks. It's up to the city according to that we need to maintain that jetty
So
road.
that seems like a number one for this year then?
Yeah, and maybe we could, and that's,
Where's that jetty rock on here though? That, the
it's-
check dam
it's
isn't
part of-
anywhere
it's-
near,
it's part of stabilizing North Bank, but it's stabilizing North and South Bank, but it's not.
okay,
It's not.
so just, that would be possibly something new that, because the check dam isn't the North Bank,
Yeah.
so.
Okay, so we have to add that to make it more clear.
Yeah, that's.
So,
That's not an urban renewal, is it?
the harbor.
The harbor is.
Yeah, but that's something that may, and it may not be that much money to replace, get a machine down there, grab those rocks, put them in place, it's really all you have to do. But that's something that the Corps has been wanting us to do for many years.
So, under Parks and Open Space, which isn't
Okay.
here, but it's been on our to-do list forever,
Mhm.
is, getting that encroachment on Ellingston off, you know, that.
Oh, yeah.
So I would like to add that as, it's not gonna be that expensive, but it just takes concentration, if we could add that as a potential priority.
Well,
Are there other people?
wouldn't you just wanna keep that regular on the city council
But
and?
nothing's happening, it's been on there
Well,
for 2
because
years.
of time and staff and et cetera, but if that is a priority for the entire council,
Is that,
I would be happy to address it.
well, it's a part.
That's my point, I'm happy to keep it on there, but whether it's an entire group.
Do people want
Is
that?
is it even in the urban renewal zone? It's not necessarily talked about.
Ellington,
Well, it doesn't have to
it's
be
right
in
by
the
the
urban
bridge.
renewal zone.
Yeah.
Work on it.
That area where
The end of Ellington.
It would be,
that property is not, because it's right here, right, Brenda?
yeah,
Right
it's this,
Right
that's Kent,
No,
yeah,
this is
right.
Ellington, right here.
Yeah.
That's not in urban.
It's not,
The yellow
it's,
is not, that's not urban, okay,
the highway corridor is, but off the corridor it's not.
yeah.
All right, so I think we're pretty much, was there anything?
Just supposed to, but not good.
Right.
So, okay, we've gotten pretty far, so let's next time start with,
Maybe
public safety.
Public safety and public buildings,
Okay.
things like that.
Well, next time we'll finish going through this priority list and then adding others that we may have.
Okay.
Okay. All right, this meeting of this renewal was over. Thank you, guys.
Council Harmon, I'm going to stop this one and start it over again. You should be fine where you're at, but if you get kicked out, it just makes it easier for the video recordings.
Okay, no, that's fine. If I get kicked out, I'll just re-log in. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Yep.